Awesome.
All right.
Well, first of all, welcome everyone. Hope this is going to be fun and you'll learn a lot through this session. So let's just jump into it. So first, we're going to go through introduction, then the roadmap of what's expected of databases, specifically databases roadmap. Then there will be a live demo by Artur, and then obviously we'll open up for a Q&A session. So just as a reminder why we are here and what is our purpose. When we launched Softr in August 2020, this was the very first time we launched as a very basic MVP. Our goal still was simple, was same as it is now, empowering anyone to really build software without code, and obviously especially focused around knowledge workers. And it's amazing to see how far we have come in the last 4 years. We have now enabled thousands of businesses of all sizes from across all industries that are building different types of custom apps with Softr, CRMs, dashboards, and more, and using Softr really as a backbone of their entire operating system. So over the past 4 years, we have also had lots of learnings throughout our conversations with customers, support calls, deep dives in all of the use cases that you have been building. We have seen something really important. So all of the data where most organizations are really spread out across all different types of places, starting from, emails, spreadsheets, manual workflows, a lot of the times pen and paper, off-the-shelf solutions, using specific SaaS verticals tools that just do a specific job, and also obviously legacy systems built by code tens of years ago. And that's where we are, the current kind of places with lots of customers with their data, and the data, knowing that the data is the foundation of every workflow, whether you're managing your users or projects, orders, or any kind of communication, HR systems in the company. Data is the foundation of every workflow. So software development, every software consists of three main pieces, right? So the database is the place that stores and manages this application data. And it defines the structure, the permissions, and allows you to get insights from all of that data. Then there is interface. Every form, every transaction, every user action, everything becomes a data point in your database. And then interfaces are the UI for people to interact with that structured data. And workflows, aka logic and actions, are the logic layer between the front end, which is the interface, and the database, and the back end, the database. So users can trigger workflows, whether it's by clicking buttons, submitting forms, or complex logic like branching and doing lots of looping functionality. And we call them workflows. So these three components are the backbone of any application. Obviously, they can function and work on its own, but all of that comes together and becomes a complex app. So currently, what Softr does really well, where we started, is the interface piece. And obviously, a bit of the logic that's embedded inside the interface. But Softr has been doing an amazing job and has become a go-to platform for businesses to build interfaces, applications, front ends on top of their data. And however, with that, there is lots of limitations that currently we're seeing. Learning curve. I mean, obviously, when someone starts using Softr, a lot of them might not have structured data in place, which means they have to start learning a new tool, new third-party database. They have to first structure database. And this is impacting their adoption of software in general, and also their transformation to building all of these tools. There's performance challenges. We integrate with third-party API limits. There's low performance, sync issues a lot of the times. And obviously, Softr apps, even though they actually really independently would work really fast, but they look and function slow because the data comes slow. Troubleshooting. If there is issues, imagine in your app that's connecting to third-party tools, or there is lots of automations running. Obviously, if there is any errors in between, it's hard to fix, hard to troubleshoot. There's no central source of truth. If you have messy and siloed data sources all over, of course, you can still build apps on top of those, but you get Frankenstein apps that at the end don't also perform well. And then obviously, as companies expand and use more and more tools, I think in the last years, we have seen lots of companies trying to avoid their SaaS bloat, too many disconnected tools, a lot of the times doing the same things, just in siloed environments, and which all translates into wasted time and money. So that's where Softr kind of has been integrating with a lot of the existing data sources and have been doing an amazing job on that so far, integrating with tools like Airtable, Notion, HubSpot. However, with the launch of now Softr Databases, you can skip the third-party database use, especially for lots of customers that didn't have this data structured in anywhere to start with. But even if you have, and you are building Softr apps on top, now, like with the use of databases as a backend for your data for your app, apps become extremely fast and extremely more performant. So our goal with the introduction of the databases is three main things. One, the databases allow you to structure, organize, and connect all of your data in one place. It becomes one source of truth for all of your organization data. You might still even have data scattered across different places. You can still import and keep it in one place. There's no need to learn a new tool. You already know Softr, and a lot of customers find it very easy. It's going to be exactly the same ease of use. It's just another tool on top of inside the Softr ecosystem. And Softr Database is going to also work independently as a standalone solution, as just a database solution to start with, because that's where most of the companies start, creating their baseline operational tooling, or it can act as a backend to your data, to your app. And then also coming soon, you are going to be able to leverage AI and collect and do smart insight analysis, enrich records, and much more. With the application side, you can now create full stack business apps inside one platform. So that enables you to be fast using Softr Databases, instant, and there's no syncing issues because it's a native integration. All in one, no need to learn and onboard with a new tool, again, similarly. It's very easy to share with your external databases as well as apps with your external users or internal users without the additional costs. And apps also can become a source of truth, now combining the data from Softr Databases as well as other databases if you still want to use those. And also, Softr Databases can handle large data sets and keep data secure. They are already coming in as SOC 2 and GDPR compliant from the get-go. There's no, again, they can handle millions of records. There's no limits really at this point. The limit is, there is limits on different pricing tiers, but if you have large data sets, they still can work. It's just a matter of also a bit more expensive price, but obviously we can scale also to millions of records. And data becomes your new gold, which actually is for organizations, data is the new gold. It's not just powering apps, but it is becoming your app. So twofold, you can use it as the data store of your organizational operational data, and then obviously as a data source to your backend. I'm gonna hand over to Austin, but before that, I'm just gonna shout out if there is any questions, happy to answer first before moving on.
Yeah, thank you for that. There's a good amount of questions here. Let me pull up a couple that answer quickly. Just give me 1 second. So here's one about old blocks being able to be connected to Softr Databases. Want to answer this one, Maro?
Yes. Can you hear me still?
Yep.
Yeah. So unfortunately, with the older blocks, the reason that they can't also, some of them are not working with some of the new databases. It's just because structurally and how they have been implemented like 2-3 years ago, they have completely different structure. They're not backward compatible in some cases. However, the team is working very hard on transitioning all of the blocks into the new system, into the new block design that looks and functions amazingly out of the box. And there's only a handful of blocks left that are actually in the old version. Besides the static blocks, a lot of the dynamic blocks are already with the new version. Hopefully, we're looking to fast track that in the next months. Also, transition all of the old blocks to the new ones.
Also, our Kanban block, that updated block is coming soon, and then that will also work with Softr Databases. So that should be very soon, and that's a really cool update. Here's another one. When will you launch the connections with Airtable databases, if any? Or maybe an Airtable import could also answer this question.
If this is about connections with Airtable database, if it's about database having a connection with Airtable database, there won't be So there will be an import coming soon. It's actually on the way. So pretty soon, probably in the next 1 to 2 weeks, will be live.
Here's another very popular one stemming around our public API for databases to connect to outside things.
Yes, API is in the roadmap. It's coming next. Actually, Austin will speak about that in a bit.
Cool. All right. There's many other questions, but why don't we bring on Austin and we'll keep answering questions along the way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you guys hear me okay? Mary, can you hear me? Okay, so let me share about the upcoming roadmap for database. We should answer some of your questions. But instead of like breaking down a very concrete timeline, I think I'll break it down by areas. I think the first one is everyone is dying to know is about public API and automations, right? So that is coming up next. So I think the timeline we're expecting is roughly 4 to 6 weeks. We're going to first have the public API, and of course we will have triggers and action you can use in Zapier and make update record, create record, new record is created. Basically everything you would expect from performing CRUD operations will be there. We'll launch them, roughly 4 to 6 weeks is what we're looking at. And of course, I think in this summer, probably like 1 to 2, probably I would say 2 months to be sure. I think we are planning on launching the first version of the beta version of Workflow, which obviously will have native integration with Softr Apps and Softr Databases. So that will be that's something that's coming up. That's another big launch we're planning on. And then we're also improving some of the field settings to improve the power of fields inside Softr database. So a lot of people have already asked things like file URL. So we will offer settings whether you want it to be publicly available or something that expires, like how Airtable and maybe Notion handles it. Those are options you can configure. And also things like datetime, formatting, time zone, relative time display are all coming up. You probably already see there's a localization settings in the database that help you set some default. That's also going to work with datetime pretty soon. And then also everything around link record, we call it related records, is also going to be improved, like things like record filtering, sorting, and also like the output display. If you use rollup formula, we also support anything you see in the datetime or number formatting options will also be available there. These will come probably a little later, but we'll have all the functionality that you're used to in Airtable and other tools available as well. Next up is AI. We're probably going to group some things together. So we're going to allow you to create database, the basic structure of entire base with different table relations, or maybe just one single table with some basic prompt. And another thing is we're going to have fill with AI features. You can use AI to summarize, translate, categorize your options with some basic prompt. You can run it, on demand, or run it, let it run on its own. This is something we probably will share more soon in the coming, I would say probably the next month or so. And then, of course, at the same time, we are going to improve some foundation of Softr database around sharing, permissioning, transferring ownership, which I know a lot of you would definitely need, but also the basic user experience around keyboard navigation, shortcuts, or bulk operations. We know there's still a lot of like pending things that have been designed. We just need to find time to implement them one by one. And then also import from Airtable and other tools that will also be coming pretty soon. We actually have a working version internally. We just need to test that a little more before we share it with you guys. Okay, so I think that's it for the general roadmap. And Gigi, I think maybe we can take some questions. There's any.
Awesome. Yeah, we have a couple questions here. I think a lot of people are just asking about like how different is Softr Databases from Airtable We have a lot of people saying, is it the exact same? Can I just move right over? Can we just point out maybe some of the differences between the two? I think that could be helpful.
So there are going to be some differences, but in general, a no-code database is a no-code database, right? There's a lot of similarity. It's a little hard to pinpoint very specifics. So right now we're missing some things that Airtable doesn't have, but we will already have things Airtable doesn't have. For example, one of the things that a lot of Airtable users ask is the expiring URL, right? So that is something that we're planning on just letting you guys decide, right? Depending on how sensitive the data is, you can decide how soon you should expire. So there's certain decision that we make is going to be different from our Airtable in our own way. But in general, it's a database, so it's all going to be. I guess the biggest difference is that it's inside Softr. So if you're planning on having it work with your Softr apps and later a Softr workflow, the overall experience in terms of just kind of the general building experience and also understanding, what your intent is, because we set up everything in a way that they understand each other, right? So we can even pick up your settings from the database right away, which a lot of times we can't really do with external data source due to either whatever they decide to expose in their metadata to API, or maybe they have rate limits, so there's certain operation that's a little harder for us to accomplish, but we will be able to do that in a very seamless way, if you have the data within Softr database.
Yeah, I think another thing I'd like to call out is just the speed, because Softr Databases is built for Softr and many others. It's just significantly faster when using Softr with Softr Databases compared to Softr with Airtable. And Artur will show you this in a bit, but the speed is dramatically increased. Also, we built Softr Databases to be a database first for applications. And that's not necessarily true with Airtable. While it's a great platform and it supports many things, their API and the way that we connect to it is just not built for that capacity. And so you're able to find a lot more performance using Softr Databases. And like Austin was saying, being able to connect the interfaces to workflows, the databases all together, there's a lot of shared commonalities there that we're able to benefit from and create that synergy to create a really good app building experience for you all. Let's just answer one more question here, and then we'll get on to our demo with Artur. So will there be a feature to allow us to export data from Softr Databases easily in the future?
Yeah, I think we'll allow exporting as a CSV. I think that's what we'll allow. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So the ability for importing CSV is already here. And again, I posted a video earlier. Someone previously uploaded a 1 million records CSV into Softr Databases just to see if he could do it, and he did, and it was working really well. Beyond that, Airtable import is coming. That's a one-click import with Airtable that brings in all of your relationships, your linked fields, all that kind of stuff. I've seen this work in development, and it's really, really exciting and really easy. And then export is also coming in the future. So keep your questions coming. Artur's going to come on stage now and show a little bit of a demo. And then after that, we'll talk about, do some more Q&A as well. Come on stage, Artur. There you are. Awesome. Hey, why don't you unmute yourself?
Hey, folks.
Awesome. This is Artur. I'm sure you already know him. He's our CTO. He's everywhere on our forum, our community, and everything. So good to see you live in person, Artur, and excited for your demo.
Yeah, thanks, JJ, and thanks everyone for joining. I'm going to do a demo and also in between answer some of your questions. Let me share my screen. So you guys mentioned like differentiator from Airtable. I would like to stress out what JJ mentioned. We kind of were very frustrated with Airtable API speed. Like, request would take somewhere from like 3 seconds to even like extreme like 40 seconds. And everyone would blame Softr data, like Softr is not fast, applications are not fast. And you would look at it and you would see like the Airtable API or some other third-party data source that we connect and becomes like super slow over time. And for that as well, we just decided that our database should be like a super fast, and that should be like also one of the key differentiators. And with that saying, like, let's start. This is the database menu. So here we have a list of databases that usually you would be creating. we have a few options to start, like start from scratch, where you create like very simple database, like nothing is there, then you just continue building. We also have like 20 templates built here, and we will continue adding more, and soon I'll show one of them. So you could import the template and kind of build on top of it. We also have import functionality. Many of you mentioned importing from different places. Like as you can see, we have CSV, which is already in production. We do have Airtable as well. It's internal for me at the moment because it still needs to be tested. It still lacks certain functionalities. So we are fine tuning it, and we hope in the next 1 or 2 weeks, we'll be able to release this to you as well. So you can, with one click, import your Airtable data into Softr. And this might sound like easier, but there are certain challenges because when the databases are relational, there are a lot of bidirectional links and formulas and all that. We just need to make sure that we properly import your data into a Softr database, and that's why it takes a bit of effort to import. CSV, on the other hand, is just a single file usually, and it's easier to import. So that's why we went with this first, and Airtable is going to come very soon. And once Airtable is done, then many will follow, like Smart Suite and Notion and so on. Of course, there's different priorities, like we are also working on API and a couple of other functionalities. We need to prioritize accordingly, but the most important one in terms of import we hear from you is Airtable, and that's going to come very, very soon. So let's then just start with one template. Let's start with inventory management template. We preview and we copy it. So it's already copied, and the data is also being copied in the background. I will quickly show what we have. Like here, we have like a simple table. It's very, very simple one. Let me briefly walk you through some of the options we have. We have the basic types, which is very compatible with Airtable or any other database solution. We do have also the relations, like everything for like having very sophisticated databases already in place, related records, lookup, rollup, user, as well as some like utility fields, like created by, last updated by, create, last updated at, record ID, and auto number. So all of these are also available in Airtable, and Airtable has been there for 10 years or more. So Softr Databases is like, you know, we started it about 6 months ago, a bit earlier than 6, but about 6 months. And we already have so much functionalities out of the box. What we are at the moment doing is, you would see that, for example, when you select the currency field, we started to add a lot of options. Like you can select different like currencies we support. You can select if it's like, you know, you want to have a code or symbol, you know, where should it be shown, like all the different nitty-gritty details and the preview. So those are the areas that we are now fine-tuning, hardening all the fields and their configuration. You would see that, for example, for date, we have now a basic one, but like in 2 days, there will be a bunch of options exposed here. As Austin mentioned, for files, we are going to also offer many functionalities, like you decide how to preview it in the box, you decide if the links will be expiring or not, and how often they will be expiring, and so on and so forth. Yeah. Let's go through just quickly this. As you can see, we here have users, products, and then sales orders and purchase orders and suppliers. This is inventory management. So there are like suppliers and there are like buyers, etc. And all the info is coordinated here. Those are all like a linked record. So this one is a sales order items and you can see it's a related record. You can connect to like a source table. There's going to be a lot more options coming up here as well. Like you could define certain like a sorting option, filtering option, and so on. Pretty much we are going to match with some of the functionalities that the best platforms out there have, and continue investing in speed and more functionalities. Some of you also mentioned views. We do have views, like you can create a view, you can have default like sorting, filtering, and decide which fields are available in different views. Eventually we might have also views where you can have like a Kanban view, like a calendar view, etc. However, this is already possible when you connect all of this to an app, right? So as soon as you create an app and connect your database to it, then you can use the existing blocks like Kanban, calendar, and so on, and build the views, and even something more powerful than just views here inside the database. That being said, like those are all in our roadmap. Over time will come. We will prioritize accordingly and move on. So we do have also roll-up fields, which is a little bit simplified. So when you select them, you also select the function, so you don't need to really write manual query. We exposed easy way to select which function you want. Either it's like summary, average, count, array join, or whatever. So basically whatever aggregate functions we have, we expose the easy way so that you don't have to deal with formulas. For formula fields themselves, if we select formula, some of you asked about like suggesting how it should work. We will work on that as well. However, as we have like ton of functionalities to implement, we decided to just give the functionality first, and then we will kind of harden it and give you more options. So it can be auto-suggested, and there's an AI feature coming soon as well, where you can ask AI that will generate a formula for you. So you don't even have to write, you just need to tell what exactly you want, and it will create it for you. And another cool thing that we'll be adding soon, most probably next week or so, like formatting of the output of the formula. Usually formula would be producing either another text or another date, time, or another number, and so on, or currency. So you should all be able to format those and have a fine-looking outcome there. What else here? So roll up, lookup, everything I already mentioned. After number, if you have like if you need to add the numbering in place and have some ticket numbers, etc., more stable one, you can use that as well. And we will be adding more and more features that will help us to differentiate. But as mentioned before, one of the key things that we are emphasizing at the moment is the speed. And I'm gonna just create a quick app as well, and hopefully just quickly show how fast it is. So let's go into apps, and let's start with the template. And so those 20 templates that you have seen for databases, we also migrated the applications that we have here. Before they were like Airtable-based templates. Now they are Softr Database-based templates. And if I go here and find the inventory management one, so I preview here, and then I use the template. So I'm now cloning it for me. So the app is there already. So this is the data coming already from Softr Database, as you can see here from the copy. And if I go and preview this one, you will see that a lot of things are moving like super fast, like everything, charts and orders and inventory. Like again, like we emphasized a lot to have like very speedy applications that you can build like charts that are super fast, and everything is kind of super fast around the data. So this is going to be like at the moment key differentiator, and you'll just add more and more functionalities. I'll probably pause here and we take some questions.
Yeah, so we have a question here about permissions for databases. Is there a plan to support permissionings within databases so collaborators can come in and maybe see some tables or not see some tables?
Yeah, I think Austin mentioned as well, that's the category of features like that you will add. At the moment, if you're a collaborator, then you will have an access to the databases. And this is an area that you will invest. We will have an option to set granular permissions, as well as for certain plans, we'll offer also audit trial. So you could see who did what with your database applications and so on.
Great. There's a lot of questions around our Airtable import. People are wondering, will it pull in the relationships, the formulas, the lookups with the Airtable data into Softr Databases?
Yeah, that's the exactly point. Otherwise, we would have released it from the get-go. So the reason that it takes like 1 or 2 weeks more is exactly for that. So we want to make sure that you import it and it's like 100% just like ready for you to go. There might be 1 or 2 fields depending on Airtable APIs if they are not exposing. For example, they are not exposing like a formula used in a rollup. That means we will not know what exactly was in a rollup. So we'll get a data, but then again, you can just click and change the type to the formula to the rollup and configure. And the rollup is a calculatable field, so it will be calculated out of the gate.
Another confusion that I'm seeing is people are thinking that the Airtable import means Airtable sync. that's not actually what it means. We're not having an Airtable sync with Softr Databases in that way. It's for you, if you want to migrate over to Softr Databases, to bring your Airtable data exactly how it is into Softr Databases, so then you can connect your app to Softr Databases in that way and get all the benefits of Softr Databases. Austin, you want something to say?
Yeah. I've seen a lot of questions, also just on the forum, really about whether we can import the automation. That is unlikely because, first of all, I think we will have the automation not as part of the database. It's more like a software workflow. So what we're going to launch first is software, like in Make and Zapier, have like software actions and triggers you can use. So that obviously cannot be imported because the authentication is different. But even in our own system, so we will have a lot of the actions and triggers that you are using today in Airtable as Zapier, but they're still not exactly the same. So we're not going to be able to really, import right away. But we will be investing in some AI to make it very easy for you to set them up, even if you will have to rebuild them. Yeah. So that part, unfortunately, there's technical limitations.
There's one other question I think we should answer and just clarify. Softr Databases, while it's meant to work really well with Softr, it also can be just used as a standalone database, and that will become more popular once our public API becomes available, where you could just use Softr Databases with our public API with other platforms, or to support your data however you wanted as a standalone product. So it's an excellent complement to Softr, but it can also be used as a standalone database as well. We can move over to our Q&A section now. Artur, did you have any other questions that you wanted to bring up or show anything?
No, I just also want to second that, like, our support to the Airtable as a data source is still there. So you can still kind of use Airtable as a data source if that's your primary data source. We'll continue improving all the data source integrations. And in fact, some users mentioned like live sync of Airtable, etc. Like this is going to happen as well with Airtable. So, but that will be Airtable as a data source. So Softr database is a data source on its own, like within Softr. So if you want to move, as JJ suggested, then you will need to kind of move entirely into that for that particular application, for that particular use case. It's not there meant to just sync. So it's there to kind of replace. And as for sync, there is actually no need like for you to sync as long as you can connect and use it like as you have been doing so far.
Yeah,
maybe one thing worth mentioning, that I think one thing that we were exploring is just to have an easy and intuitive way for you to see the database. So your data still lives in your databases, but just seeing inside Softr Studio, so it's easier access. You navigate to another tab and see it. That would be possible. That would be easy to see, but that's just for convenience purposes. It won't be replacing, or you won't be importing into the Softr databases.
There are a lot of questions around, great, Softr Databases isn't here now, can I just transfer over? And I think that's a hard question to just answer, because while Softr Databases does have a lot of functionality, there are some things that might be missing that maybe Airtable has, such as like a script field or some stuff like that. And so we can't just answer that generically. You have to go in and then look at your app and see what requirements you have. But generally, if it's a database CRUD with all the relation lookup, all that kind of those fields, then yeah, we're ready. But if you have more advanced functionality that you're really leaning into with Airtable, sync databases, scripting, automation, all that kind of stuff, maybe it's best just to hold off until some of more of our features come, and then you can come over at that point if you want as well. We're getting some questions around pricing. Is there anyone that might want to talk to some of the pricing and how Softr Databases will work with pricing and Softr?
Yeah, I'll jump in, and then also maybe we can pass to the Q&A as well. There are some specifics, but generally, like you probably have seen, all the people that were launched from the launch 2 days ago, well, last week, the Softr databases are not priced as a separate product. They are still Softr product. There's just certain limitations on each of the subscription plans that you might be on or you might be looking to subscribe to. So there is different plans, and each plan will have its own limits. And then as you grow, you will need to expand into the next plan, or if it's more than records than you need, more number of databases that you need, then it would become a custom plan.
Awesome. Miriam, are there any questions you want to bring up, or otherwise I can just start bringing some up?
Yeah, let's just go. Probably you just bring up
Okay, great.
one by one.
So here's one from earlier in the session. Softr Database looks really great. There'll be a similar session for automations, saying that I need automations and databases in order to migrate over. As Austin mentioned, we are a couple months away from automations, workflows, and when that time comes, we'll definitely do a session around that. We definitely understand the importance of databases and logic. And also, hopefully, once our public API comes in 4 to 6 weeks, we'll be able to expand some of that as well, allowing you to still do all your automations with Softr Databases in that way. Here's a question from Brent. How do you accomplish showing total rows? I'm not sure. Is there any kind of count functionality, Artur, or anything like you could think of for this?
And the one that we show in a database view, well, actually, that's just a native functionality. We're able to count the overall count of items as well. And overall, as we are kind of building it for apps, and there will be a lot of functionalities also inside the API that in the future we'll expose, like direct aggregation functionalities, which will include count and so on. So you can get many of those from API as well. Initial API will be more focused around CRUD, but the later versions could also be more like, you could query the data in a different ways, including like AI and so on, if you wish to.
Yeah, two related notes on this. Well, I'll probably just one more point that on the block side. So not so much related to database. We actually will be working on the pagination feature where you can actually show the total records. This was previously not possible due to how we handle data source, but this will be coming soon. Just as a separate feature, not really related to database. Just want to share.
That brings us to the data synchronizer. I think generally, maybe we could talk a little bit about what we're doing with the data synchronizer to support all of the other connections that we have to improve those, and also the benefits that come with the synchronizer and Softr Databases from a foundational standpoint of standardizing the data, being able to unlock new functionalities of, formatting certain fields in Softr in the front end that we weren't able to do from a simple API perspective. Artur, maybe you want to speak to that?
Yeah, so generally, when we started Softr, our idea was that we need to connect to those providers like SmartSuite, Airtable, Notion, and so on via API. Why? Because that's the right way of doing it. So they expose an API. API is there to be used by other applications to kind of show the data. So we started with that, with the right way. And unfortunately, we learned it in a hard way that that's actually not the best way, like how their APIs are implemented, because they are super slow, like many times super slow. Like, again, you can't wait for an API to respond to you in 20 seconds. The API should be like below 1 second typically. So that's also why we can't offer many functionalities, or we weren't able, like showing the count and, easy way doing charts and so on, because like they give you like 100 records at a time. So if you need to build a chart on top of like 100,000 items, you need to load all that like 100 by 100 and then do aggregation on top, right? So as JJ mentioned, about like 9 months ago, we started like data source synchronizer project, which is essentially working in a hybrid mode. It uses API whenever there's an update and creation and deleted functionality, so it real-time kind of syncs that to your database. However, for the read functionality, for charting, for showing the data, it is using like a copied version of the data and keeps them in sync. Basically, that's why the name Synchronizer comes in. And we started to move on many data sources into this Synchronizer mode. We have Notion there, we have a Google Sheet there, we have SmartSuite there, and Monday, ClickUp, etc. Many data sources are already on that mode. Airtable being one of the most complex one is work in progress. So by end of July or early August, Airtable will be also fully be migrated into this mode, which will make also a lot more faster, because we will not rely on real-time API to display the data. So we will have close to real-time, like a data copy in our databases, and we'll be able to show that version to you.
Which also means data being synced in real time without having to refresh the page and whatnot. A lot of the underlying functionalities will just be seen in improvement across the board with the new Synchronizer and Softr Databases coming into effect now that there's a stronger foundation. Awesome. If there's no other questions, I'll keep bringing a couple others. We'll answer a couple more. So this one is, will Softr Databases be a trigger in Zapier? So if in Zapier, where in Softr Databases, a new row is created or a row is updated, will they be able to use that as a trigger in Zapier or the automation platforms?
Yeah, definitely. Like the API that we're releasing, I think we'll be able to release a version in 2-3 weeks. And then On top of that, we will, because API on its own, like many of you might be able to use, but others might not. So we will then immediately jump into like Make, Zapier, and etc. and start kind of exporting exposing the integration. So you can easily listen to different triggers and perform CRUD operations on a database until our own workflows come as well as another option.
Here's one question about scale with Softr Databases and specific record limits. If someone needs more than 200,000 records per table or database, is that possible? And how could they go about doing that?
I mean, the way we designed it, like we could have someone just having like 100 million records. So there is no problem. It's about like a contract and the pricing of what that means. Like, but it can go as high as like 100 million, a few hundred million. So there is no a limit is AWS hardware, basically, which is like pretty huge.
Awesome. Any other questions that anyone wants to bring up before we wrap this up for today? Well, it's been a pleasure having you all here. Thank you for your engagement, your questions. What we'll do is we'll continue this conversation in our community forum. We'll answer some more questions that we didn't get to there in a thread there. So if you have any other questions, feel free to post in our community forum and we will get back to you there. Otherwise, we hope that you guys love Softr Databases as much as we do. It's a huge performance increase and unlocks so much future potential for Softr and Softr Databases in the future. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of our community. We really appreciate you, and we're building this product with you. So let us know your feedback, and we will continue to deliver on that as we can. Thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.